Motherfucker switched his whole outfit to make us look dirty.
I took a shower.
This is the exact same day. Don't let him fool you. He just switched his whole outfit for nothing.
We got Joey KO that will knock you the fuck out. We got Mixed Martial Mike
that will talk you the fuck out.
And Hammerhead Heck.
And he will headbutt the shit out of you the fuck out.
Whenever you're driving, right, and there's a car accident on the side of the road, why is it that there's so many rubberneckers?
I don't know.
You want to see what the fuck just happened over there. That's basically this.
What have I done? I gave Gucci. Disney Gucci collab. Disney Gucci collab. Oh, yeah, you're about to get beat up by a Disney kid.
Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. What do you guys predict? What do you guys think is going to happen? How soon is it going to end? And does anybody think that Jake Paul has a chance, really?
No, never. He's got a puncher's chance. Looking at his gimmick, I don't like anything about Jake Paul. I don't like anything about his brother Logan Paul. I don't like anything about anyone that's pretending to be a boxer.
His foot stands whack. The way that he talks, whack.
In other words, you're jealous of the Disney kids.
Yes.
Good news for you, buddy, is that he fucked up. Because he thought that fighting Tyron Woodley was a good idea. And I think that shit was a fucked up plan. Whoever the fuck is behind this whole thing just fucked up. They probably fucked it up for him to fight Floyd Mayweather, which I think that's a fight that would have made sense because Floyd Mayweather is smaller, not a big puncher. He would have got his ass kicked, but at least he would have not ended up face down. I think this fight right now with the way Tyron Woodley punches and his boxing level and skills, I think he's going to get fucking knocked out possibly in the first round.
I don't know if you guys knew that they wanted to make sure that there's a rematch clause in the contract from the Jake Paul camp, which makes you think like, hey, look, if Jake loses, Tyron has to fight him no matter what, contractually.
So double the fun. He's going to get knocked out twice.
Well, I want that. A lot of people are looking at this as another Jake Paul project. But this is actually a very respectable opponent, especially at his level of competition. I do respect that he's actually going to fight a guy who was a UFC champion, and most of his wins were knockout punches with his right hand. So it's not like he's fighting a Ben Askren who won most of his fights with wrestling, literally barely threw punches. There were fights he never threw punches. The point I want to make, Jake Paul's starting to win a lot of people over. And I think it's the fact that popularity can do that, right? And you saw the UFC do the same thing with CM Punk. You could see Dana White talking shit about Jake Paul, and he could create that narrative all he wants. But the UFC will always have that blemish in their record that they actually had CM Punk. So they could always add a Jake Paul or Logan Paul. If you add CM Punk, these guys can actually fight.
No.
These guys could fight. They could defend themselves. They're no pushovers. They're going to defend themselves. The point in which Dana White is criticizing them, it almost seems like a hypocritical standpoint.
Well, guess what, dummy? They drug test in the real world too.
No, it doesn't.
To me, it is. You allowed CM Punk, a wrestler, and I'm not talking about a college wrestler, a performance wrestler, an actor, an actor.
I agree. That was a mistake. That's one of the UFC's mistakes.
To defend the UFC, although they had CM Punk, he fought Mickey Gall, and the UFC didn't dilute their talent. You feel me?
But that is nothing compared to having an event where a YouTuber is the main event.
He's actually starting to win me over. And the thing is, I enjoy the fact that he's starting to step up. Even if he loses this fight, I respect it. I respect the fact that he picked Tyron Woodley.
And I'll say this, if he beats Tyron Woodley, it puts another notch on his record and it shows his progress as he steps up on his level of competition.
As a fighter, as a fighter, not as a fighter, not as a boxer.
He still has not fought a boxer yet.
Right.
But he is fighting someone who's very dangerous. He does deserve credit for his last fight against Ben Askren because you got to remember how he started. Amateur fight, then he fights someone who can't even stand properly in a fighting stance. Then he fights a basketball player who does not box at all and is almost as bad, but it is a step up because at least as an athlete, he's more of a threat than the first guy. Right. And then he steps up and fights someone who is a fighter, just not a striker. Now he's fighting a striker, someone who could box with him, who does have boxing technique and has sick knockout power.
Where did Jake Paul feel that he can actually do what he's doing now? Pick his opponents and become a complete superstar. He took what Floyd Mayweather did, the equation, and flipped it on his head because it's the exact same thing.
No, not at all.
The difference is, what I was trying to say is that boxing has allowed us to accept guys who fight complete bums until their 25th fight. That is the rule of boxing. Fight a bunch of bums and then start fighting good guys. So Logan Paul said, and Jake Paul said, I'm gonna fight a bunch of bums and I'm gonna make big events. So that's
but that's not what's happening. Let's speak the truth. He's fighting celebrities. This is celebrity boxing.
Celebrity deathmatch.
You gotta remember, boxing doesn't have a unification promotion with the UFC. Boxing is boxing. It's Michael, open. You and I can wake up tomorrow, start our own promotion company, and we could be in business with Triller, The Zone, and even Showtime in 12 months from now. You know that, right? You can't do that tomorrow and compete with the UFC. We can't.
Yep.
Which is one of the reasons why a guy like Tyron Woodley can go fight a Jake Paul, make $1 million, $2 million, even $5 million, laugh his way to the bank.
I don't think he's getting paid that much, but he did say he's getting the biggest paycheck of his career. And the UFC, as we know, notoriously does not like to pay their fighters.
Boxing legit will comfort the pay-per-view star. So Jake Paul's allowed to fight. Like, the structure allows him to do it. Like, the structure shouldn't even allow Jake Paul to be able to fight
because
anybody other than another amateur boxer, right? The structure itself is about short-term gains, not the long-term.
I would respect more Tyron going back and forth. Like, okay, go fight Jake Paul, but come back and fix this 4 losses back-to-back that you have in your record. Don't go out on a 4 losing streak and then jump into boxing.
Who really benefits from the Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley fight?
Nobody.
Boxing as a whole doesn't benefit. The people specifically invested in this fight is the ones benefiting in boxing. When you see a huge pay-per-view in the UFC, those numbers and that event, that is setting up the UFC's history, momentum. That is the future.
I don't get it.
That the UFC's events benefits the sport as a whole, and that
so
Jake
you're saying
Paul
that this
versus Tyron affects them. It only affects them. Who's gonna make money?
I ain't calming down no more. I'm thinking you trying to calm me down.
Only the people who has invested in this specific event is benefiting. You see how that is short term and one-sided. It's an event by event basis.
We get that, but I'm saying
the UFC has schedules like the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball. They have schedules in advance.
Boxing doesn't have a league.
The reason why we get in this fight is because of boxing. So if boxing fans want to complain about this fight, talk shit about boxing itself.
It's not boxing's fault. It's fucking Jake Paul.
Whenever you're driving, right, and there's a car accident on the side of the road, why is it that there's so many rubberneckers?
I don't know.
You want to see what the fuck just happened over there. That's basically this. Everybody wants to see a car wreck. Everybody wants to see a train wreck. Because you gotta remember, there's no boxers fighting.
So boxing right now is at a discount because all we getting, for the most part, is exhibitions and fights from YouTubers and shit. We're not getting the best fighting the best.
Facts.
So the sport of boxing and the fighters themselves are diluting their own careers, and they're not selling any pay-per-views. The guys that selling pay-per-views are has-beens and YouTubers.
Has-beens and YouTubers. That's an album cover, dog.
Hell no, I ain't paying for this pay-per-view. What I look like, a goddamn paper fool?
There is absolutely no way any commission will let fucking Jake Paul fight for the WBA, WBC, and all these titles. There's no way.
I don't know about that, dog.
Nah.
No, they don't.
They won't allow that shit.
Yes.
You gotta be ranked.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about the championship level fights.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to say is Jake Paul legit can amount a record. Let's just imagine. This is not something I actually predict. Let's imagine he amounts a 20-0 record. And it's very similar opponents, bum skis, no names, has-beens with 20 more losses than wins. That is not any different than all of your favorite boxers.
No, that is 100 times different.
No, it's not that much different.
No, it is very
a lot different, bro.
Light years different.
It's not.
Yeah.
He's following the boxing blueprint.
But you're talking about, Mike, you're talking about, no, guys.
Y'all bugging out.
Mike,
the comment section, what y'all think?
Jake Paul has 4 guys who are 0-0. You telling me that these guys that got no experience, no amateur background, no fighting experience is the same as a guy who has more losses than wins?
Do you know it's a blueprint? Because a chair is a chair. The difference is
blueprint?
In the details.
Nobody has done this.
Fight bums.
Clout.
If Jake Paul fights a bunch of boxers that are bums, that are considered bums, he's losing. That's the difference.
I agree with you, but he's not.
He can beat.
He's not following a different game plan. He's just fighting worse opponents. The same game plan, worse opponents.
What he's doing is doing the celebrity death match. He's fighting.
Why did Lomachenko get credit? Why did Lomachenko get credit for fighting the guy in his second fight? Because boxers don't do that. Boxers wait till their 30th fight to fight somebody for real. They really do. You're gonna really sit here and argue with me that boxers don't do that. That's not what he's learning from. He's learning from other boxers.
No, boxers. What you do with a boxer is you build them up and you fight other boxers. Jake Paul is not doing that.
Yeah, he's not
fighting guys that are not boxers.
That is where you are right. Where you're not seeing what I'm seeing, it's the same thing, just worse opponents. It's the same thing though. I'm gonna fight guys that I know I'm gonna beat.
If he thinks he's gonna beat Woodley, he fucked up.
I agree with you.
If he thinks Woodley is on line with the other guys, he fucked up. Or he really has confidence in his boxing skills and he thinks he's gonna get it done, but he might be worried about this one. I think he should be worried about this one.
So what's your prediction?
He's challenging himself.
What's your prediction?
First round knockout by Tyron Woodley. That's my prediction.
Let's throw out a punch. You got a punch in mind?
I'm not even gonna put a prediction on this one because I think that would be an insult to the sport.
I would advise you rewatch Tyron Woodley's last fight against Vicente Luque and watch the moments right before he got knocked out. He was right about to knock Vicente Luque out. So Tyron Woodley still got it. Do not get it twisted.
So you got Woodley, I got Woodley, Hector got Woodley, even though we don't need to say nothing, because who the fuck? I mean, you got to be a fucking fan of Jake Paul that don't know shit about boxing to think that Jake Paul's got a chance in this fight. And in a boxing fight, this guy, Jake Paul, has not fought anybody like this. And he's not going to knock him out easy. Okay?
Exactly.
Woodley, if Woodley does get hit, he has a much better chin than the other guys. Has way more heart. And Jake Paul, man, I don't know if he could take the power of Woodley. Woodley hits extremely hard. He's going to lay his ass out.
And don't you think Tyron Woodley's going to be able to hit even harder because he's only going to be able to focus on punching? Don't you think it affects him, the fact that he's considering to maybe wrestle you at this very moment, throw a kick, and that affects his power? He's off balance, all that. Now you just asking him to square up with you and throw that crazy right hand? I don't know about you, but MMA fighters got signature punches. They don't have, this is why they're never going to be as good as boxers, but they do have signature punches. And Tyron Woodley's right hand, I think is going to be the one-hitter quitter, knock him out. Manny Pacquiao out. No, I'm talking about face first on the floor like that. That's how I predict. Yeah. I'm going to predict it to that.
I predict Jake Paul sleeping. He's going to be snoring.
I'm reading online 2 days ago from MMA Junkie. How does Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley's moms share hugs and nice words? Come on. And how is it that Roy Jones thinks that Jake Paul can finally beat Tyron Woodley?
If Roy Jones said that, they must have paid him to say that. He must have got a check from the Jake Paul family
foundation
here. Hype us up. He's a fucking punk. He's gonna get grounded with the right hand. Let us know. Give me some feedback. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out, y'all.